Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Odur Jagero, and this is Dialogues with Jagero. I'm in the studio with Daniel Orenge, aka D-Man, and we were just talking about where this name is coming from. Mr. Orenge, how are you doing?
Since we last saw each other.
Yes, how are you truly doing? And I'm asking that in respect to who you are. You know, you have been undergoing some transformation.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we met last year, right?
Yes, last year.
How are you doing?
I think last year when we met, I had 4 kids and I have 5.
You have 5 kids?
I have 5 kids.
Yeah. Tell me about your 5 kids.
4 boys, 1 girl. 2 boys, girl. 2 boys came in my journey of recovery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. They're well?
Yeah, they're well. I mean, they're healthy. Whenever I get home, I realize it's only me who has problems. Everybody else is having fun in the house, jumping around.
Yeah.
So they keep on reminding me to take life easy. Relax.
Take life easy.
Yeah.
Relax.
So it's never that serious, but...
so you're relaxing.
Yeah. So the family is good. I've generally been growing. I believe so. You know, at times growth is very subtle. It's unseen. But obviously feedback from people around you shows that there's an essence of growth. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful, yes. There's something we say when you go through the 12-step program, something we call the promises. And they're happening.
What are those promises?
One of them, they say, is economic hardship will leave you. You will definitely thrive.
Okay.
Financially, you'll definitely and that's true. It's true for many. Because as I mentioned in the last episode, that there's brilliance in every addict. So once you remove the addiction, the brilliance thrives.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yes. You probably expound on it.
Okay. Like, for example, me.
Yeah.
I keep on telling everyone that I've been trying to do voiceover for 19 years. But the last 3 years is where voiceover has thrived, and I've done a lot of business. And actually have surpassed other people who have been in the business longer than me. Why? It's because of the decision I made to fight the alcoholic addiction. There are many people I know in this recovery journey who are doing exceedingly well. They don't like to talk about their stories, which is fine. But I know, because it's a principle. They say, as long as you're pursuing your sobriety, the promises will come true. So you will definitely do well. That's one of the things I always try to encourage anyone who is trying to pursue this journey, is that you need to be able to have vision that post this trial period, there is definite success. Definite success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were talking about your name, the reason why they call you D-Man.
D-Man. For a very long time, as I grew up, everybody used to call me Danny Boy.
Danny Boy.
And anybody who calls me Danny Boy right now, I know we go way back. So that name had to transition to who I am.
Yeah.
And it started like a joke. Even during my time of alcoholism, people still used to call me Danny Boy. Then I changed it to D-Man. And ever since, it has stuck. Everybody I know even at times if my wife calls me D-Man in the house, I go like, wow, this thing is really catching on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how the transition happened from Danny Boy to D-Man.
I want to, for people who did not watch your last episode, I just want us to recap.
Yeah.
Tell them about yourself, who you are, because last time we talked very, by the way, you remember part of your video did not show. I don't know if you watched the whole show.
Yeah.
At some point, the video, we tried for almost 3 weeks to get the video, but we couldn't get. But if you look at where the audio cuts all the way to... So you see on YouTube, you can actually see the levels, how many people are watching at any given time.
Yeah.
So even minute 1 to minute 3, you can actually see.
Yeah.
The amazing thing about that video is that if you look at your video, it stabilizes throughout. So it means nobody dropped because there was no video.
Really?
Yes. Nobody actually dropped. So if you look at the graph, it goes all the way it was.
Fantastic.
So that is how much people loved the
Video we did,
the video.
Yeah.
But let's recap and tell them about our audience. It has grown. When you were doing it, you were at 8,000. Now we are 30,000,
Yeah.
and when
Fantastic.
Facebook was when we were doing it, Facebook was about 18,000 followers.
Yeah.
Now it is 203,000. TikTok was basically non-existent. But then when I started putting your videos there, and thank you for being one of the very people, the very first people that came to my podcast and decided to share their stories, even
You're
though
welcome.
I had very, for lack of a better word, very shitty following at that time. Yeah. So let's recap about a little bit about your story. I'm not sure whether in high school we were taught first draft, second draft, third draft. So you can always compress the story just for them to know who you are, who Daniel Orenge is.
Okay. So my name is Daniel Orenge,
Yeah.
popularly known as Demon, and I mean, first and foremost, I have to say I'm a born again Christian. I'm a wellness coach.
Yeah.
I'm a voiceover artist. I'm a public speaker coach. And I'm also in the wellness space currently. What I'm doing, I'm head of business for an organization that is driving wellness into corporates using African dance. So I'm
That's
grateful
very
to
interesting.
God. Yeah.
Can you tell us about a little bit about this organization?
So it's actually called A Fusion. A Fusion, One People, One Dance. So the idea is we're trying to bring wellness or healthy coping mechanisms straight into all wellness centers, from gyms to private membership clubs, and more importantly, even into corporates using their own spaces. Because we understand the logistics, the challenge between somebody who wants to get fit, have a better sense of mental health by accessing the gym. The logistics between the office and gym can be challenging. So we said, why not bring it to you? And we'll bring it to you using something that is our own African dance. Yeah. Africans generally dance, but something went wrong.
Except with Wejagero.
Yeah. So something went entirely wrong. And dancing is actually a very good way, a very healthy coping mechanism. It keeps you young, keeps you fit. So, courtesy of who I currently work with, the CEO, she goes by the name Chiki Kuruka, we are pursuing corporates because people spend most of their time at work. So we're pursuing corporates to try and get them to understand the value of this and bring it in maybe twice a month or even more, depending on their budgets and the intake. So it's been a bit challenging also with the men. Men look at that thing and say, that's for women. And I go like, that's either toxic masculinity. We all are
there are so many things that men think are for women.
Are for women. And the women are coming in numbers and they're thriving. They're thriving. I mean, the sad thing is we already have our unhealthy coping mechanisms. So that's where the unhealthy. Yeah. That's where the challenge is. So before
what does that mean, Mr. Orenge?
Bro. It's the truth. It's the truth. Yeah. We already know, culture has made us like this as well. We've walked into a culture that says mbili kama kawaida after work, it's standard, meet with the boys, have a beer. Yeah. Most of the times you find maybe a man is escaping from the reality of what family is, what home is. So you run away. So we're doing many things that are not healthy as men. And that's one of the reasons I believe why there are many depression cases. Many people are dying young. So despite that, I'm not trying to say that everybody has an unhealthy coping, but I can say for sure that many are. Looking at how many, the access to bars, they're everywhere. Means they have business.
Especially upper corner.
Yeah, and it's who is buying the alcohol? Is it women?
No,
it's men. So we feel that there needs to be a balance. I'm not here to tell somebody who is having his drink not to. I'm just here to sensitize that it's good to have a balance, have something that is healthy. Yeah. Because when you look at it that way, you're looking the long game. You're looking ahead, because down the line, there's lifestyle diseases that hinder us from being who we can be. It slows you down as a man. It reduces your capacity to generate income. You spend a lot of money in a hospital. So why wait till then? Why not sort it now? So I'm grateful to God that I was able to. I didn't even look for this job. It came.
You were headhunted.
I'd like to say that. My CV appeared and they said, this guy, we can work with him. So I'm busy trying to pursue as many corporates as possible so they can embrace this. And interestingly enough, the corporates love the idea. But when it comes to the implementation, obviously there are challenges. But I know over time we will change how people look at things and work around things. Because a healthy employee equals productivity for any business.
So basically what you guys are doing are trying to help corporates have their employees well, healthy.
Yes.
And that makes them think better.
Yes.
Makes them have more output.
Yes, more output, less leave days, less turnover. You cannot really get. I mean, corporates should be more invested because this is like a family. They should be more a corporate that is more invested in their employee, understanding their well-being, showcasing that they care. Definitely equals to a more productive corporate. But if you're less bothered about that, you will end up releasing or firing people for the wrong reasons because probably they're not performing well and you do not understand the issues they are facing. So you might not be able to solve their personal issues, but you can give them a coping mechanism that can help them put things into perspective. As I always say, the difference between me and many other people is that by the time I get to work, I've hit the gym, I have removed any stress from an argument, maybe that stemmed between me and my wife. I've put it into perspective and I've aligned myself and I'm ready to work. But other people will come to work with their issues. And that, of course, will hinder their productivity.
Do you do that by going to the gym or by sitting down on the breakfast table and say, look, we had a problem, we argued over this, let's see where...
Eventually. Obviously, my day starts with God. Spend time with him, pray, bring things before him. And if you're a spiritual person, you learn to be selfless. So you also learn to look at yourself and find, are you also the problem? Instead of pointing, because they say you point one finger, three are pointing at you. So you've prayed about it, you've studied God's word, you've gone to the gym, slowly you put everything into perspective. So by the time you're coming in the evening to have a conversation with Mama, things are aligned. And you speak from a point of, you've put emotion behind. You're speaking from a point of clarity. So I feel that with such initiatives like the one I'm doing, many corporates will see the benefit if they're willing to stick the path. Because now their employees will be able to unwind different, cope different. Because life didn't become any easier because I became sober. It's still tough, but I just know how to deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yes, you are. So let's go back to your story that I covered.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, in the last video, we slowly just gave an insight as to how I grew up from when I was a child and the gaps that I feel existed, courtesy of, many, I believe this applies to many people. If most of our parents were so involved in sorting out issues to do with the economy, anything to do with provision, especially as a man. And if you're not doing well in that, or something happens to you, you find that men can easily become passive or aggressive, even in the house. So there was a void as we grew up, especially with our dad, because of things he had gone through. And he was present, but there was something not right. So as we grew up, we felt caged. You did not have that daddy relationship that you should have, though we got it later. Thanks to God, he was able to put things back into perspective. So growing up, I always knew I have a very harsh dad. And I know that affected me. Why? Because I have a son right now who loves me excessively. And I can imagine if I don't give that boy the time of day, something else will. So moving on forward, as I got to high school, for me, I was looking for freedom because I felt that I have been denied a lot from extracurricular activities. I was very athletic, sports. I felt like that was not invested into for obvious reasons, because the parents of then did not see the value in it, as we have an understanding now as parents that this is very important for the growth of a child. And so after Form 4, even before Form 4, I had started the drinking, but not as such. For me, it was about going out and having fun. And sooner or later, when I finished school, started the drinking, and I felt like I was trying to catch up. Little did I know that was the beginning of an addiction to alcoholism. So even through my years of uni, there was a consistent pattern of drinking. There was evidence of me always blacking out, which should have been a red flag, but I never had the knowledge to understand that was something I should have been conscious about. Fortunately, I had a healthy coping mechanism, which I still have today, which is exercise. I really loved rugby, but I could not get to do it because I felt like the lack of support at home. You know, you're being told focus on your studies. The time you need shoes for running, you need boots. So you're not going to go and do that barefoot. So it was easier to use the gym, and the gym was nice. I loved it. So I was able to finish school. I wouldn't have finished, to be honest, if it wasn't for exercise. I wouldn't. I know many who drowned into addictions and did not finish. That's one of the reasons why I keep on saying that it's important that even universities, instead of only just bringing successful people, alumni, bring people who have a story.
Yeah.
So you can salvage, because not everybody. The other day, I was telling my friend, Chipu is a Kenya under 20, did very well, won the African Bathurst Cup. And I was like, wow, are you seeing these guys? Kenya, rugby, we're going to go somewhere. He said, but Daniel, look at those guys. How many do you think will reach their prime with all the things we went through? You need to go and mentor them. So the same thing I was saying with universities, they need to be conscious of that, because there's so many people there who will not reach their prime because of alcoholism, addiction, and other things that are coming into the market. So I finished my university, took more time than usual. Instead of 4 years, I did 6. And I graduated with a degree and an addiction.
Addiction counted as one of the papers.
One of the papers. I am an alcoholic, but I didn't know. That's what I'm walking around with. I still try to justify it because of the cultural thinking. Mbili mbili kama kawaida. That advert has never left my head because it played so many times as we were children.
Tell me about this advert. I don't remember this advert.
There's an advert, you say mbili mbili kama kawaida.
Mbili mbili kama kawaida.
It was an old advert. It played so much. It justified every day after work, have 2 beers. So I grew up listening to that.
Baada ya kazi.
Burudika. I will not mention the brand.
We all know the brand.
Yes.
Waliwachana nayo, by the way, sindio?
That sort of...
Yes, the ad.
That one.
Ilipitwa na wakati.
Yeah, ilipitwa na wakati. Yeah. So with that in your mind, you still justify having your drink. And I remember the day my dad was angry with me at home, and he told me, you are not drinking beer. Because I was not drinking beer. I was drinking hard liquor because I couldn't afford beer. Because I told that he found me walking in and he was like, where are you from? And I was smelling, and I told him I went to have a beer. He said, you're not drinking beer. You know, this time, I couldn't keep a job, so I had to go back home. I had started using other substance, popular mogoka. There are several good jobs I got that I couldn't keep. One of them was working with a renowned brand in the industry of alcohol, and I couldn't keep that. One of my bosses, I remember him telling me, "What are you drinking?" Because I was reeking when I went to the office, and so my addiction. I developed a dependency after university. Of course, after university, now the gym has gone. There's no support. Life is real. You're not working well. You're too hungover every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is when you're becoming normal. Thursday, then Friday, you're at it again. up to Sunday. You cannot be productive. The truth was being mentioned, but I was still fighting it. So after I lost all my jobs, I went into hiding with some friends, and the addiction grew from there. My self-esteem went down. I didn't want to see people. And I was hopeful, but the only basis of hope that I had is because I knew God. Fast forward, I met my wife. And she saw me as who I was, not an alcoholic. And maybe she didn't understand, and many people didn't understand who an alcoholic is, because it's just, you're just easily defined as a drunkard. This person just loves alcohol. I don't think you can love alcohol to the point where it destroys you.
Is that so?
Yeah, that's a problem.
There is something you explained. Do you mind repeating it for the sake of clarity? You remember you talking about the genetics.
The genetics, okay. So about the genetics. So from what I learned when I went in for treatment, is 70% of alcoholics are alcoholics because of genetic predisposition.
Now, I hope that you're enjoying this program. Over the last 15 years, I have been working online for clients in America, in Europe, and all over the world. And that is why it pains me a lot when I see a lot of African brothers and sisters saying that they do not have a job. Now, this is the problem. A lot of people are trying to look for a job in 2024 in their own town, in their own country, in their local area. Now, the truth is, there are no jobs in Africa, at least not so many jobs. The good news is that we have internet these days. We have a tablet, we have a computer, we have a phone, and that means that we can do a lot of jobs. And those jobs are online. That is why over the last 4 years, I've been writing a book that is called Digital Goldmine. It is a book that explains to you how you can earn money online. The 18 hustles that I've chosen are basically for Africans. Okay, because what happens when you are doing online jobs is that payment is usually a problem. So these 18 side hustles that I have put together in this book, you can be paid very well and very conveniently. Okay, so the book is only 1,000 Kenya shillings. That is about $10. You can buy it in Kenya using pay bill number. You can buy it online from anywhere in the world using a credit or a debit card. All the information about this book is in the description below. Just need to go to the description, click on the link, and you can buy this book. And if you have a brother, you have a wife, you have a husband, you have a friend who is sitting at home and watching Netflix, please do buy this book for them. If you are the one sitting at home and watching Netflix and have nothing to do, please buy this book, and your life is gonna change forever. Because I have been doing this online, and I've been traveling, and I've been enjoying myself and having a lot of fun. So thank you very much, and now back to program.
They have narrowed it down into something called an X factor. I've done more research on this. Probably I'll mention more about it later. But what happens is, as you go on with the addiction cycle, when you start from normal use, regular use, then becomes risky, then dependency, what's happening in the brain is that whenever you drink alcohol, it causes a spike of dopamine. Now, dopamine is the hormone that gives us some level of satisfaction when we do things, gives us joy. Now, if your brain, what's the thing that gives us great joy? Let's say sex.
Yes.
If your brain releases in a span of 10, it gives you 6 from sex, alcohol gives you 9. So your brain is not understanding what is this foreign substance that is giving us this 9, this surge of dopamine, but it loves it. So alcohol is very addictive. So as you keep on drinking, you're rewiring your brain, changing the structure, and your brain then becomes dependent on this. And it's always looking for that thing that made it get this dopamine hit. At the same time, I've also gotten to learn that as much as it's a good feeling for us, the brain is also conscious that this is not right.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Mm.
It's conscious of that.
Mm.
So the other day I was listening to this guy who is a very learned, well-spoken gentleman, and he said, it's the same way laughing is good. We like laughing, but it's also dangerous. Because there's a point where you can laugh and you say, tell somebody to hold on because you feel like you've overdone it. You know, you're hurting your internal organs.
Yeah.
So we feel we love the dopamine, but the brain also knows that this is not right. So the brain also moves to correct that surge. What it does is that it releases another hormone called dynorphin.
Yeah.
So dynorphin comes to stabilize that surge.
Okay.
So if alcohol takes about 10 days to leave your body, dynorphin is still being released. So you stop drinking on Saturday, but for 10 days, your body is releasing a hormone that is giving you a low. So you're thinking, I'm on the edge. I just need one drink. But it's your brain fixing what you did last time. So when you're coming to drink again, you're not coming to get high, you're coming to fix a low. So your brain then releases
it sounds like the insulin balance.
Yes. So you drink, the brain cancels that. But when it cancels, it takes it lower. So you start drinking from a low. So you keep on drinking and going lower and lower and lower. You can never get that first high you got the first time.
I see.
Yeah.
The burst of high.
Yes. Because the first time the brain dealt with it, it took you lower. Because of that hormone, dynorphin. They say it's also responsible for depression. Yeah. So you have had a low the whole week. So you're trying to fix that low. So when you have a drink, you think the drink has solved it, but the drink is basically solving the low because the brain is trying to restore balance. So the brain sees this thing again. It throws the dynorphin again. It takes you lower. So you're busy getting into an addiction without knowing. You're not conscious of it. So through that low, if there are other things in your life that are not going right, which will happen, that's the fruit of addiction. Things will not go right. Your work will not go right. Your marriage will not go right. Things at home will not be right. Yeah. Including this low, somebody now finds himself even drinking more because of a lack of understanding. So, of course, through this, you've rewired your brain and you become an alcoholic, totally dependent on this, chasing a high that you will never get, but continuously sinking. Needless to say, alcohol is poison. There's a book I've read called This Naked Mind. And this lady demystifies. She basically deals with the subconscious because she says as we have grown up, our subconscious has been wired to look at alcohol in a particular way, which is a lie. Why? Because of the interest of the companies behind that, making billions. Alcohol is used by machines. It's used by machines. It's used in cars. It's not for bodies. It's not for our body. Every time you drink, your body is trying to fix this. Your liver is going to work to fix this. It's like, what is this poison? You know, you can never hear somebody who drank too much milk to the point they threw up. Why? Why with alcohol? Because why does somebody throw up? Because the body is rejecting it. It's not good for us. So she deals with the subconscious because she says as much as you have a decision, a choice, or you've made up your mind to stop drinking consciously, your subconscious is disagreeing. Because everywhere you go, you look at people, they seem like they're having fun. And you're the one who is bored. So you need to sort that thinking that life is not about that. Because when before you started drinking, you used to have fun. Now that you've started drinking, does that mean you can't have fun? So once you change your subconscious, you're able now to move on with life rather than feeling that this journey is very selfish, I can't have fun. Many people have been sold lies. We have been sold lies. Like one lie, alcohol gives me confidence. Makes you a fool, makes you act foolish. It makes you surpass things that would guard you from doing silly things. It removes those barriers and it allows you to do that. And you confidently go do something that will embarrass you. You can actually do these things sober, consciously, and do it well. You know, it's like somebody says, when I can only dance when I drink. If you record that person dancing when they were high, they were not dancing. They were making a fool of themselves. Yeah. But if you do that dancing intentionally when you're sober, you'll do it well. You learn the moves and you do it well. So there's a lot that I've been doing research on to understand why our society is so captivated, our culture is so captivated about alcohol. And I realized that it's been conditioning that has been done for so many years. And it's been embedded into our culture. So we have been programmed in a way. Why? Because some people are making a lot of money out of it. And in that, many people are suffering, courtesy of alcoholism. Many families are being broken. Many people are not realizing their potential. And something needs to be done. So we had gotten to the point where I met my wife.
Yes.
And I keep on saying that if I did not meet my wife, there would be a grave. Number one, when you meet a woman, there's food. Whether you like it or not, she will cook. But if you're an alcoholic, there's no food because priority is going to the alcohol. But a woman is able to balance things out. And I don't want to say she was an enabler. She loved me. If it's the drink I need, have the drink. But I got some level of focus. When I was with her, I was able to now focus with work. When I was with her, I was doing insurance. And I did well. Not as well as I am doing now with my other things. And what I was saying is that alcohol is poison.
Yes.
So immediately, after using that hard liquor for so long, the body starts to break down. And it starts to take measures that will preserve life. And so I'd find myself getting into comas, partial comas. Partial comas. I find myself admitted in hospital on a drip. That happened about 3 to 4 times. I never could recall how I got to hospital. But each time I would look back, I could see how God took care of me. Like the incident I always say when my phone had a problem and I took it to be fixed at Safaricom House. And when they fixed it, it asked for an emergency number. And I had to put my wife's emergency number. So when you unlock, even though you don't have the unlock code, there's a number there. 2 weeks later, when I'd come from a drinking spree and I fell into that coma, busy walking around. I did not know where I was. Thugs were about to steal from me as I was coming home. And taxi men saved me from that incident. And I woke up in HDU. When I woke up in HDU with my wife next to me, when I asked her, how did you find me? She said, this taxi man found my number on your phone. And I knew that was God. Because if that was not the case, I would be dead. Those guys would have robbed me and thrown me in a ditch somewhere. And I'd have probably drowned because it was raining then. So with each incident that I went through, God showed himself strong. God revealed himself more to me. That's why I keep on saying anybody who has gone through a very tough time in life is conscious of God, because that's when you know him, because he's the one who literally has your back. So this alcoholism was for over a decade of dependence. Every day you have to have a drink. And needless to say, it stole a lot of my productive time. One of the challenges I have nowadays, but I'm dealing with it, is that you can have conversations with people your age, but they're thinking differently and at a different level, because where they are is courtesy of the inputs they have done over those years. But me, I was sitting down chewing somewhere instead of advancing in my career. But that's fine. I'm sorting all that now, and I'm humbly learning as I believe I'm rising up the ranks. So I couldn't keep a job. There's a job I lost on the first day. I was working for an Indian company. They just hired me. I thought my problems have been solved, because by then I had so many issues, rent arrears. I'd just gotten my second-born son. So I got this job. And on the first day, in the afternoon, I took a nap. Not even taking a nap. By that time, I normally am chewing. So my brain snoozed off. And when I woke up, in front of me was the CEO. just woke up and he was here looking at me and told me, come upstairs. And I was like, oh God. And his son was there and he told them, this man is sleeping on the job on day one. Do you think he will do anything for us? I tried to defend myself. But that day I know I was even smelling of alcohol. And I lost the job on day one. So there are many jobs I lost. Many. But there's one I had kept for quite some time. I was working for a fintech. And I was able to rise the ranks from an agent up to the head of sales. So even through COVID, I got a promotion. So it justified that everything is okay. Despite me having to have a drink every day and having to chew every day, to chew mogoka every day and smoke marijuana every day. Because that's what used to give me a high. Chew, drink, smoke. Standard.
Chew, drink, smoke.
That was my formula.
How are you were doing them at the same time or different times?
At the beginning, remember there was a time I used to do them at the same time. After I got hospitalized severally, I started doing the chewing alone. Then I started doing the drinking after, then the smoking. So I can get a dopamine hit. At the end of the day, the brain is chasing the dopamine. But you out here, you're looking for all sorts of substance to get there. As you're doing that, the brain is still struggling to repair things, but you're getting more and more sick because your brain learns addiction. So you change the structure of your brain, and I changed it. So after COVID, sometimes you get comfortable and you let your guard. Yeah, and the alcoholism was evident. There was a time I'd been asked by my boss if I had a problem, and I told him, no. He should have let me go because I had missed work for a week. But he didn't. One, because yes, I was good at what I was doing. And two, because he knew I have a family and he thought about my kids. He said, let this not happen again. 3 years later, we had the same conversation because I had not gone for a meeting that he had to step into. And he knew it's the alcohol because I had been seen severally in company events drunk. And I'm meant to lead the sales team. How do you do that and you're drunk? And how is the sales team going to perform if you're not being a leader? So through that conversation, he asked me again, are you having a challenge with drinking? And I told him, yes. I said, that's very good. As a friend, you need to get help. And he asked me again. Then he didn't ask me again. He told me, as a director, I have to let you go. But if you get help, 3 months, if you show us evidence that you went for treatment, we went into a rehab, 3 months, we may consider taking you back. So as I left, because my sister was the head of HR there, she signed the letter, she wrote the letter for my dismissal. As I left, he told me, take the advice I have given you positively and all will be well. My sister told me that in the office, they didn't know what they had done. They didn't know, is Daniel going to go and dive deeper into this? Have we made a mistake to release him? Should we have? They didn't know. And he didn't even know what he was doing, but he was being used of God. Because I'd prayed for very long and I'd asked God to get me out of this. Because I didn't know how to get out. So as I walked to the road, I'll never forget that last journey to go chew mogoka. I was going to look for mogoka.
On the day that you were let go?
Yes, I was going to go chew cat as I contemplate my next move.
Yeah.
Obviously, my heart was heavy because my firstborn had already started school. My secondborn was just starting school. And I was worried. I was like, is this thing going to take me back to where I used to be? My house being locked, going back to my parents' house, children now lacking fees. And I remembered the words of my dad. He used to tell me, Daniel, if I used to drink alcohol, you think I'd pay your school fees? You have to choose. So as I was walking to the road, I actually cried and I told God, why me? And then I felt some surge of confidence coming to me. And I felt like I was looking down, and it lifted my head up, and I felt something say, go forth, go, do what you have to do. And I remember my sister told me, with your next paycheck, get into rehab. So I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go into rehab. So I bought my cat, went to my normal base, sat down, started meditating on what I need to do. My wife came, she already knew I'd lost the job, even before telling her. And I told her, babe, I need to go to rehab. And she said, really? You can just do, people normally meet at this church, I think it's AA they do, you can do that. And I told her, no. I don't have the capacity to come straight home. I'll always have to pass by the wines and spirits, because there's also a mental dependency that comes with alcoholism before the physical. That's why they keep on saying, it's in your mind, it's in your mind. Yes, it's a stronghold where you know.
How does it manifest, this strong urge to drink? Do you feel like you're thirsty? What do you feel?
Remember, I've told you that you after drinking, you develop a low. You're normally low. If you find people who are hungover, they're normally low. And that's the brain trying to sort things out. Now, you see, from that low, you're trying to look for a fix. Okay? So, in your mind, you already know the fix is another drink. So, there is that. And then now, as you keep on doing that, then you develop the addiction. The physical addiction. Now, the physical addiction is painful because you literally lose your appetite. You literally sweat. You literally, even though you try to sleep, you get bad nightmares. Withdrawals are painful. They are painful. It's like lacking food for 3 days. You know, it's that painful. And your brain is literally going mad because it wants more dopamine. There's a deficiency of it. And you've caused that deficiency by the excessive, continuous drinking. So, even in rehab, that's why you have to go. Let me not use rehab. Even in treatment, they have to gauge and see how addicted you are. If it's acute, you might have to go through hospital so they can wean you, because it can kill. They can wean you. So at times when you see families trying to lock someone away so they don't go to drink, it's dangerous.
Dangerous. I remember us laughing one time. There is an uncle of mine that was at Asumbi AA, right? Mm-hmm. And he came back and he was telling us that they were being given beers there. And it looked so crazy. I don't know, because, and then when I realized that probably that is the winning thing they were doing.
Mm-hmm. There's no rehab, they'll give you beer. The only thing they were sneaking them in back in the day.
Yeah.
They found a way of doing that. But I know there's a medical process to that. There's something they can give you that is not addictive, that is alcohol. The medics would know it. They give it to you in hospital. The same way there's something for...
So probably just called it Tusker.
Yeah. And in rehab, they give you something that slows down, reduces the withdrawal. There's some pills they give you. It's the same way they give nicotine gum in rehab for people with a cigarette addiction, because the withdrawal is also bad. So they give you things that have been processed. They're not addictive. Same way there's like methadone for...
They're not addictive, but they give you the same feeling.
No. It deals with the problem in the brain. It deals with the withdrawal. There's something that is happening in your brain, and there's physical elements of that.
Okay.
There's a physical response to that. So it deals with that. It could be a painkiller. Then it also... I wouldn't be able to give you a scientific understanding of what it does, but it helps you withdraw better.
Okay.
Yeah, it helps you withdraw better.
It slows it down. It's not like now stop.
It's not drastic.
Yeah.
It slows it down. But whatever it is they're giving you does not have their addictive capacity, and it will not get you anywhere next to high.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you will feel something.
You'll feel more relaxed.
Okay.
But not high.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you'll feel more relaxed, but not high. I didn't get to that point. I never got to use that medicine, though I saw a friend of mine who was brought in straight from hospital, and he had shakes the whole 3 months he was there.
Shakes.
Yeah, shakes. That means his was very acute. And when I talked to him, he used to drink a bottle of whiskey every day by himself. Every day. For years.
Dude, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot of the genetic predisposition for everyone is different. And you find that, like for me, my tolerance for alcohol was little. For others, their tolerance is high. That's genetics.
What does that exactly mean, the tolerance?
It means you can drink, your capacity to take alcohol.
Okay.
I have a lady who she's ahead of me in this journey, and she talks a lot about, she's like a recovery champion. She's also in this space, and for her story is that every time she used to drink, she never used to really get high. She had capacity. That's genetics. You can find somebody who can drink 10 beers from this time he started and not get high. And he'd be fine the following day. That does not mean that they are not getting sick up here. They are. I used to have friends, every weekend we would drink. On Monday, they are fine and they are going to class. Me, I'm sleeping on the bed, I'm suffering. And I used to wonder,
what's our class?
Yeah, what's our class? How blessed are they?
Capacity.
Capacity. So for me, I'm trying to develop capacity. But for some of them, they're already developing the addiction. We are both, one is coming from this side, one is coming from this other side. So all those things are factors that could lead down to addiction, alcoholism. It's important that everybody understands that anyone is susceptible to alcoholism. There are just various factors of life that can play around that can push you into that without knowing. It's a slippery slope because one thing is that alcohol is addictive. It is very addictive. And all it needs to find you in a place where you're regularly using it. And life does 1-2 things to you. Before you know it, you've moved a stage further. Developed that mental dependence, and you feel like you need to have a drink. Before you know it, it's physical. So yes. So, I mean, having chewed on that particular day and had that discussion with my wife, then I went to do research about what rehab is. Because even one of my mentors, I call him like a spiritual dad, who was the head of the class I was doing in Bible study. I asked him, do you think I need rehab? And he told me, Dan, you don't. You're fine. But he didn't used to see what alcohol used to do to me. He would only see the presentable Dan. Even at times I used to come to Bible study smelling of alcohol. I still used to come. So I did my research.
This is what church were you at? Are you one of these Pentecostal churches? Were you?
Yes, I've been raised in a Pentecostal church. But when I'm talking about the Bible study, I'm referring to Bible Study Fellowship, which is a global Bible study.
I know it.
Yeah,
I was a class leader there.
Eish.
Yes, I was a class leader there for 2 years, I believe.
Should I question what is it about the wars? What happened?
The wars.
You said you were. I was. What
happened?
Yeah,
but you don't have to be there forever. Yeah, you can step out a little bit because you also understand that Bible study is very routine. You can being a class leader is different from going to Bible study because you've got more responsibilities.
Yes, I get you. So
you have to keep calling your class every other day, every other week. You must follow the people that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing lovingly. So that one sometimes can wear you off.
I get you,
and you might want to step out.
Yes,
but I still love Bible study.
Fantastic.
It's one of the things that stood me up as a Christian.
Fantastic.
You know,
it's good to know that.
Yeah, ours was at All Saints Cathedral. Yeah, okay. And then before that was at Mamlaka. Okay. Mamlaka, next to Mamlaka Chapel. I think it's called Mamlaka Chapel. Next to that market for University of Nairobi students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good to hear. It's good to hear that you did that. It's Bible study is one of the things I have as a structure in my journey. Yeah. So as I said, I mean, I did my research on what rehab is. I understood before I went in what I'm going to deal with, and I got the opportunity to go and look at some rehabs.
Yeah.
and choose the one that I'll be okay with. And that's what I do nowadays. I mean, for me, mine is just to be a bridge between the addiction and treatment. I come to be the face that it's possible, because it's easier that way for somebody to go in rather than the measures that are currently used. Sometimes you're tricked into it, you're forced into it.
Yeah.
So
You're forced into it.
yeah, you're forced into it.
How does that really have a lot of effect? People getting tricked into it, or given an ultimatum by probably the wife that if you don't go there, I'm
Or
leaving.
even work.
Yes, or work. Yeah.
It is everything that is given to you that is good for you is always a deposit. It's a seed. It may not germinate. You know, at times we want it to germinate based on our terms.
Yeah.
If you don't, this will happen. So when you go into rehab, 3 months is a long time. And can I say long? It's long enough to reflect on your life. So you might not come out and do well. Chances are. But you'll always, when you go back to your drink, you'll always remember the things you were taught. You're more sensitized. So I don't blame anybody for doing that. I just think there are better ways of doing it.
But because I think the reason why people are doing it is because this is Daniel. This is Daniel is being told this thing inakuumiza, lakini anasema tu mimi niko fine. Mimi niko tu fine bana. Wewe shida yako ni mimi niko fine. You know, people are saying that you can't wake up and go to work. Lakini wewe unakataa tu. I will get a Sprite and I'll be all right.
You know, mental dependency is really bad because it is scary to think of not drinking after so many years of drinking. It is scary.
Really?
It's scary. It's like they say, imagine you've been in prison for 10 years. Imagine your first day out. It's not joy, it's scary.
It's very scary.
It's scary. That's why you hear people say, they brother, go back it. It's scary. So you're trying to tell this person that this thing is bad for you. And they're like, no, I can't let go of it. And it's their safe haven, though they are still sinking deeper and deeper, because ultimately it leads to insanity or death. No other option. So the way to help somebody detach from that needs involvement of people who understand where they are, like me. We are able to have conversations. It's not guaranteed. And sometimes people think that if you bring Dan into the mix, things are going to change. It's not Dan. I'm being used by God. Yeah. And I'll just pray over the gentleman and I'll come and have a conversation with him and tell him, listen, there is this other side of the coin. Between where you are and here is God and discipline and humility.
Yeah.
It'll bring out the best in you. So you get somebody a bit more interested in trying out this journey, and they become honest with you, because immediately, like there are times I sit with somebody and I can tell, and I'm like, I know you need a drink now. I can see it, and it's like, yeah, I really need one, you know, and I empathize, and I'm like, okay. And I'm sorry to say, but me at that point, I tell him, go have your shot and come back. We continue talking, because I understand it's not behavioral. It's not him just wanting. It's the disease. Yeah.
So you don't tell him to, okay, why you'll be fine, just stay. No?
I just tell him, you go have your shot, come back. And that even now makes our conversation better. Because I'm looking at it from a medical perspective. This person is sick. Yeah. Before we get him to go in, even at rehab, they allow people. I know of a gentleman, he came, he said, let me sit at the corner. He drank his Jameson 1 liter by himself the whole evening. Then he threw the bottle and he went in. That was his last drink, and he's been sober over 5 years. They allow you say bye-bye.
Yeah.
Say bye-bye.
Say bye-bye.
It's okay. As long as somebody is getting there, say bye-bye. Because this person has been with you for many years.
Yeah.
And it's time to part ways, because you realize they're not your friend. They have been feeding on who you can become. Because I also say that behind the addiction is just a physical manifestation, but there's a spiritual reality that is thriving on you not being the best version of yourself. It's feeding on that. Yeah.
Maybe let's talk about that. Then we can go into how rehabilitation works, because that is the meat of our conversation.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the spirituality behind addiction, because when you see somebody, swaggering and falling down and trying to walk in the village, the people will look at him and say, bwana, hawa jamaa wamekukamatia chini. Hawa wafu bwana. Or somebody has thrown a stinking egg behind you or put it on your path.
Yeah.
When you talk about the spirituality around alcohol addiction, do you mean that the people that our ancestors that died? Do you mean the devil? What do you mean? I mean, I want to get an idea of what you mean by that.
Okay. There's two ways to look at that spiritual aspect of things. Spirituality could be your character and what alcohol does to you as a person. It makes you a bad person in society. You become a liar, you can become a thief, all in the name of the addiction. So there's that aspect. But from a higher level, I would say this. I know God's word is true. And it says the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah.
That's the same.
Which verse is it? Do you remember?
I remember.
I love it. I love that.
The scripture.
They used to say it a lot. I don't hear it so many times. So
It's in John. It's in the book of John.
It's in the book of John. Yes.
But I have come to give you life and life in abundance.
Yes.
It's in the book of John. I can't remember which chapter. But when you look at addiction, it does the same thing. Steals, it destroys, and finally it kills. Sound familiar? It's the devil. And I feel that everything that has been bestowed upon you by the Creator is being stolen from you by the addiction. That's why I say there is a spiritual entity that is thriving from you being in bondage. It's feeding off you, like a tick, and it loves you being there. So even when you are deciding to get help, there is going to be a war. There's going to be a war. That's why they say relapse is dangerous, because you have chased away these things and they are not far. The Bible says that when these demons were rebuked out of this person, they went to the desert.
They went to the pigs.
There was one for the pigs. Then there's one where they went to the desert. And they waited there.
I don't remember and this one from the desert.
They went to the desert and they gathered in numbers.
They keep 7 times.
Yes.
The 7 times,
Seven
right?
times, yes. And then they come back to see if there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's why relapse is dangerous. Because if you decide to have one drink, you open a window and they slam the window open and they come in and you could die.
They overrun the door.
There's a gentleman I saw on our WhatsApp group, he was a teacher. He had gone to rehab 2-3 times. And I know he was going through a lot because he had lost his son. And the day he had posted pictures that he was in a keg joint drinking. So they removed him from the group, and I was wondering, why is this guy doing this? Then they were like, it's a call for help. So they called him, and I remember one of the administrators telling me, Daniel, we have tried to help this man. We have even taken him to rehab for free the 3rd time. I don't know what his problem is. And one particular day he was leaving that keg joint, he was just walking home. And he was about to cross the road, and the market is there because this was Kisi. The ladies have put sugarcane. He tripped on a sugarcane. And on this side was a car coming at high speed. Bam, dead. If you hear the stories of relapse and death, they are very scary.
Yeah, really?
Very scary. Very. Because the ultimate goal is death, if you look at it from a spiritual perspective. That's why I don't take these things like a joke. You have to also have an understanding of it spiritually, hence the need for prayer. Pray over somebody. Because I should have died many times. I should be dead. But prayer kept me. Prayer kept me. And even this journey of mine right now has a lot of attacks. But at least I'm conscious. Those attacks are from the enemy because I'm doing something that is going to liberate many people. Yeah.